continue now with the e-debate, starting with grade 8. And the topic is actually about life with or without social media. Let's first welcome all boys and girls, and let's first spin for the position. That's grade 8. Now we'll start for the girls. You're gonna spin for the position first. At your signal, Ms. Dana will spin it and you stop it. You start?
Stop.
Stop, Ms. Dana. So girls, you're with social media, that means the boys are against. First of all, this is an issue that I want to debate. It's about social networking is one of the most important sources of well-being. We'll have first 30 seconds to confer for both teams. First with the girls, are you ready? You have first 2 minutes, or you can respond to them once they're finished. You can start, girls.
Social media has revolutionized how we connect with others, share information, and also express ourselves. These benefits alone can help your average teenager in many ways. And according to our sources, psychiatrists also seem to agree with us, since they believe that social media can improve one's social skills.
Undeniable, and I would like to add that social media has multiple ways of communicating. There is chats, there is voice messages, and there are video calls. All these skills can make you better at connecting with others, because there are multiple ways to connect with them. Depends on what are you doing.
As my teammate was saying, I would like to add upon her that social media is much more accessible for people. You can talk to people in different countries, continents, and it will be much easier for you to interact and be much more open up with other people.
Exactly. And in addition to what my teammate said, since social media allows you to interact with people from all around the world, this can give you a vast taste of how the real world is going to be like, which can prepare you for job interviews, it can prepare you for life-changing moments, and etc.
This also helps introverts. If they can't speak and talk to people using eye contact, they can talk to people on text, which would help them take an insight on the real world. Especially for people who are really scared to talk to people, which get really anxious. So giving them an insight to talk to people outside is a better.
As my teammate said, people with social anxiety have a hard time connecting face to face. So connecting online is much more easier and makes them much more comfortable with talking to people, because their social anxiety makes it awkward for them to talk face to face. So that's why it's better for them to talk online.
You can start.
Social media has had its rise in the past, but it's gotten very bad that people have addiction, depression, and the more use of social media is making you lower your self-esteem. It's been scientifically proven that self-esteem is being lowered each time that people use social media. It's making you get depression and sick, and more on that.
You're talking about a psychologist or two. Do you know how many people go to psychologists because they're feeling insecure? 48% of people don't feel accepted because of social media standards.
There's also fear of missing out, which is the idea of people just trying to keep up, which can lead to corruption in your self-esteem, which can also lead to prioritizing your social media and message over your everyday duty.
Social media cause many problems as mental health issues, which led people to do very unacceptable things.
What my friend was saying is social media can also have a lot of bad things, especially one of them is cyberbullying. Obviously bullying is a very, very bad part in our life and no one wants to get bullied. But cyberbullying gives other options for students and kids to bully more. And cyberbullying might be the worst part about bullying, because you can get private information that you're not supposed to give to other people, and it might affect the personality of the person. So obviously cyberbullying is definitely a bad part in our life and should be stopped.
Social media's addiction has gotten very bad that people prioritize social media over anything, over their sleep, over their driving, over anything.
You're repeating the same idea over and over, feeling connected, feeling connected. Would you rather go out with your friends or talk with them on social media?
Let's continue, guys, boys and girls, with the second topic or the second issue. That spending more time on the social media keeps people away from the realities of their lives. You will both have 30 seconds first to confirm.
Okay, so you first claim that social media will lower your self-esteem. Well, that's probably wrong. Because social media will help you to higher your confidence, and also we can see that on brands. The brands are getting more inclusive. You can see that also on fashion, yes, on fashion shows and more.
You also talked about the topic of cyberbullying, and that could be stopped because, first of all, TikTok has made a filter thing, which filters all the comments on multiple videos. Therefore, you cannot be social bullied. As well as you talked about if I'd much rather talk to my friends online or go out with them. While sometimes people get really tired, and sometimes they don't find the time to go out because it's a really exhausting trip. So it's easier to talk and connect with your friends online rather than going out with them.
You also talked about how social media is addicting. While I think it's not addicting, and I think it's not social media's fault. It's your parents' fault who doesn't take your phone away when you're spending way too much time on it. It's not your fault. And if you don't have a parent behind you, I think that you're supposed to be old enough and mature enough to know that to monitor yourself. And there's also parental control and timers for how many times you can spend social media in.
In addition to what my teammate said, if you get addicted, if you get isolated, or if you develop a mental disorder, that's not social media's fault. That's your fault because you are. Since social media is 13 plus, you should be old enough to monitor your own devices. Or if you still have trouble doing that, then your parents should be doing that. It's not social media's fault if you get addicted. It's not social media's fault if it becomes a problem. That's your fault.
Thank you, girls. Boys, are you ready?
You're trying to tell me that it's the parents' fault. Is a 5-year-old mature enough to face cyberbullying on PlayStation? No, of course.
How can you say that you need to be 30 plus to use social media? Before 30, you need to find a job. Other than that, social media itself has been more addicting, and it has been more like done researches to be more addicting and spend time on the app.
Well, we haven't even talked about the most important thing about social media is hacking. Obviously, hacking is a very, very bad thing in our society, and there could be many, many ways of hacking. When you hack into people's personal information, you could take away information that could really affect the personality of a person and could lower down the self-esteem by a lot. So the hacking is obviously a very bad thing.
And one of the biggest problems is privacy too, as most of social media users disclose many personal information on it. But what you don't know actually that in Europe alone, the social media data brokers market is $400 million. Social media makes most of its money by selling user data, by the way.
Furthermore, you cannot say that it's your fault for being irresponsible with social media, since we cannot stop the unwanted release of dopamine when going on social media platforms.
Above all that, 13 plus is a very ridiculous number. You're trying to tell me that you haven't used social media before?
You also talked about self-esteem. It has been scientifically proven by scientists doing researches about social media that whenever someone uses social media for a long time, they get low levels of self-esteem.
And with social media too, you could take photos of people's private parts that obviously is a bad
Your
thing.
time, boys, is over. Thank you so much. Now, for the final statement, Mr. Adler, you girls stop.
Okay. First of all, why is a 5-year-old on social media? Isn't it legally not allowed? And you're talking about how 13 years old and how I've used social media before. We're talking here legally. I have personally not used social media till now. I'm only using YouTube.
And you also talked about hacking. Well, there's something called privacy policy that pops whenever you log in or sign up in a platform. So you skipping privacy policy instructions is your fault again.
Exactly. And even though social media has its drawbacks and challenges, that's fine because there's good and there's cons and pros to everything. And we cannot ignore the fact that social media has its benefits. For example, social media can help with information sharing. Like we stated, it can help introverts become more extroverted. It can also help promote your businesses throughout all countries. You can't do that without social media because you're only limited to one country. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Your final statement in a minute. Go.
You said that you don't use social media, but you only use YouTube. YouTube is one of the biggest platforms of social media. It is very addictive. And you also talked about calling and messaging. Before social media, there was still calling and messaging. It was possible all the way.
You talked about that starting businesses with social media you could use social media to expand businesses, but in fairness, there are a lot of ways to stop businesses to go up. You can impersonate people and you can just destroy the whole businesses and yeah.
And also, 8% as teenagers don't feel safe with their data using social media due to the stalkers and people.
Also, social media has created many problems.
You're stating opinions while we are stating facts. I just told you that 48% don't feel accepted about it.
And that's it. Social media is very addicting, and you can't use it all the time.
Thank you, boys. Thank you, girls.